Okay, it is Sunday, February 2nd, and we are here for another live. And today is technically part two of what we talked about last week. Last week, we talked about beating the winter blues or keeping your energy up, maintaining productivity. We talked about just all the things that we need to make sure that we have the bandwidth to make it through winter. And today's show, I'm going to focus a little bit more on specific nutrients, what you should be doing when it comes to light, sleep, and stress, and how all of that makes this seasonal affective disorder, it makes it even more daunting for us. So, we get into it's February 2nd. We've been through the holidays. Personally, I feel like we could just slice February out and throw it away. I would like to go somewhere really warm every February. That is my goal. That is what I am working towards to be able to just get out of the cold and have something to look forward to in February. So when I come back, I have a beautiful spring to look forward to. So today we're going to talk about beating the winter blues once again and give you some tips and strategies on what to do. But before I get started, if you are new here, welcome. And I would please ask if you would hit the subscribe button. And when you come in, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, because that shows my channel to more people. So the more you hit the thumbs up button, the more you like, the more you comment, the more people will see the content on this channel. And this is important because, hey, Bill, how are you? Bill actually, well, quick sidebar. Bill was at this presentation that I did last week. He took pictures for me. So he's officially hired as my photographer. So Bill, you're going to hear some of the information that you heard last week, as well as we're going to expand upon that a little bit today too. Hey, P Squared, welcome in. Nice to see you, my dear. And oh my God, P Squared, totally forgot to call you. Oh my gosh, that's where, I know when I say things, when I'm here and I'm doing this, and we jumped off of the live, and you were texting me, and I was trying to edit a video for the next day that was very time sensitive, and then whoosh, yep, squirrel, completely. So please, please, please send me a text message in the morning and remind me to call you. So I don't want to forget about you. And I don't want you to think that you are forgettable. You are not forgettable at all. So thanks for being here. And thanks for also reaching out and asking the questions that you did. And I'm here to help. So that being said, when you come in, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new to the channel and you're just watching. A lot of people will come on and they'll just watch, but they won't subscribe to the channel, or they won't hit the thumbs up button, or they won't leave a comment. And I love, if you want to be here and you want to watch, that's awesome. But if you can just do me that little bit of a favor, because that shows this information to more people. And why that's important, you guys, I have some really exciting news here. That is important because I had a thing pop up on Facebook just a couple of days ago. And it said in January of 2023, I hit 20,000 views on my channel. And I was like, that was pretty amazing. And why that's so cool is that I had just started the channel in October of 2022. So 3 months later, 2.5 months later, I hit 20,000 views. I was ecstatic. Now, I come on here, I stay consistent. You all have heard me talk about making sure you're disciplined and consistent, and motivation and inspiration will not carry you. They are fleeting. So if you really want something, it's the consistency of the work that you put in order to get you to where you want to go. So here's what happened. That memory popped up. 2023, I had 20,000 views on my YouTube channel. I kind of stopped paying attention to the numbers because it gets in your head a little bit. And also, I've never had anything go viral yet, but I'm not, that would be super cool to open up my YouTube one day and all of a sudden see 1 million followers. But I really do want a very engaged community of people. So I stopped paying attention to the numbers. I stopped paying attention to the achievements, but I continued to put in the work. I continued to provide videos and content and value and answer your questions and bring you the things that matter to you. And I was like, I wonder what my achievements are. And when I went to the achievements, January of 2025, are you guys ready? 200,000 views. Like, whoop, whoop. So I 10x'd the views on this channel over the last 2 years. I am ecstatic. I was not expecting that. And I can't even tell you, there's so many times when I was like, this isn't working. I'm not reaching people. You know, I was having that sort of Debbie Downer moment. And I've had that Debbie Downer moment a few times. But I stuck with it. And thank you, P Squared. And that's why I want to say thank you to all of you for being here, for showing up for me, because I would be sitting here all by myself. And I'm not. I'm 200,000 views into this YouTube channel that I started in October of 2022. So I'm super excited. So 2.5 years later, just a short 2.5 years. And, you know, I do everything I possibly can to learn about how to streamline my efforts, how to create the best content, how to provide the best for my audience. So I'm constantly learning, and I'm constantly listening to you and making sure that I'm providing what you need. But like I said, I just have been head down doing it, getting it out there, and not really feeling like there was much reciprocation, not from you guys, but just, you know, I didn't feel like the channel was building and growing, even though we're, where am I at? We're like at almost 1,400, I think, subscribers. So, and again, I started with 15 subscribers 2.5 years ago. So slow and steady wins the race. And, you know, as excited as I am, it's still always a lesson for all of us all the time, is that just keep going, just keep persevering, keep moving forward. And thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. And Bill, you've been just such a amazing cheerleader for me. And, you know, I'm just so forever grateful that for everybody on here who has made that happen. So, yeah, so I'm super happy. The other thing that it reminds me of, though, is that it would have been really easy to have gotten disappointed, you know, feeling like, oh, the growth isn't happening fast enough. This is like how people, when they come in for chiropractic care and they're like, I'm not healing fast enough. And I'm like, the body heals when the body heals. Like, this isn't a process you can rush. You know, yes, you can optimize the ways your body heals, but it's not like you can warp speed things. So it really was a good lesson for me in that, making sure that I wasn't just half-assing it. Like, and every week I put thought into it, how I name these episodes, the information that I'm bringing, how to do the thumbnails. Like, there's all of these little strategies that are really designed to help provide more ranking on YouTube. So that being said, I'm doing my best over here. So when you come in and you start watching, that's where making comments and hitting the thumbs up button, that's also a critical component, because YouTube is showing smaller channels like mine to more people. YouTube really wants small channels like mine to grow. So I have to show them that my audience is engaged and my audience wants me to grow. Okay, so that is my pitch. That's my ask. And what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go ahead and get into beating the winter blues with you guys. So once again, thank you guys for being here. Okay, so we're going to bring it up. And I did this talk the other day for, it was last week, it was for meeting planners. And this week it was for a similar group. But basically people in the corporate world, I was asked to put these talks together because there's a lot of stress in that environment. And of course, people are, you know, have to collaborate, and there's a lot of creativity, and there's a lot of busy work with planning and putting together events. And so these people are really at their wits' end sometimes with the deadlines that they have to face, and then the timelines of things that they have to abide by. So, so this was, like I said, this is pretty much, I should have just named it part 2, but I didn't. Oopsie, hold on. There we go. Okay. All right. So the first things first, as we get into this time of year, February, this is where we're just not feeling creative. We're not feeling motivated. We're tired. We've got brain fog. Sometimes we get sleep disruption. I'll tell you why we get that sleep disruption in a minute. But this is pretty much how I think a lot of people feel. It's like you're falling asleep at your screen. You're tired of looking at your screen. You just want to rest. And so the problem with where we're at today is that we often don't pay attention to what is called our circadian rhythm. And the reason that this is so important is because this is like the automatic clock in your body. So your body's internal clock. And it regulates your sleep-wake cycles. It regulates other bodily functions, but it's influenced by light, food, physical activity, stress, and temperature. Now, why that's important is because the whole cycle of light is different, meaning it gets darker earlier. Well, I mean, I recognize it's February, so days are getting a few minutes longer. But let's just say it's not light at 6:12. It's dark now. So it gets darker earlier, and our bodies respond to that. So what happens is in order to go to sleep, we need melatonin. We've all heard of melatonin. Just think of that as your sleepy hormone. Welcome in, Chairman. So melatonin will go up, but in order for melatonin to go up, we need your cortisol, which is we think of it as a stress hormone, but where cortisol is really important is it wakes you up. It keeps you awake. Yes, we can get too much of it. If we're overstressed, which most of us are, we'll have too much cortisol. It can really burn us out. It can burn out our adrenal glands because our adrenal glands are responsible for most of our cortisol. So during the day, our cortisol's up. It's keeping us awake. And then as it starts to get dark out, cortisol should drop, and then melatonin should go up. So we get sleepy. But what happens, and I use myself as an example, is I'm sitting here, I'm in front of my computer screen, I have a light shining on my face, I've got a lamp on right here. And so I have all these lights coming in at me. So melatonin's going to struggle to start to come up to make me sleepy at this point in time. Now, I promise you, and here's what happens to me when I get off of my lives, sometimes I'm a little exhausted because I'm pushing and I'm here. Like I'm basically like performing this for you. I'm bringing all my energy to the table so I can give you this. And then usually, even if I have friends and like, hey, let's talk after you're live, I'm like, nope. Like, do not try to talk, because as P Squared discovered also, then last week I had to get a video edited and out. So by the time I finished doing anything to rest and relax, I think it was about 8:30. I was wiped out. So, hey, Idaho Garden Girl, nice to see you again. Thanks for being here. Yes, clean away and listen away. So this is where too, it's a timeline. I had to get this. Was for my Monday morning reset video, and I was under a timeline and I had to get that done. And I don't have a video editor. Like I do all my stuff. So, in fact, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this before tomorrow because I didn't pre-record my video and yada, yada, yada. So a little bit of stress, but here we go. So we have all this light coming in. So if we can start to dim the lights, if we can make sure we're eating food earlier in the day, making sure you're continuing to exercise and move your body, and then manage stress properly. Last week in last week's live, and you can go back, you can watch last week's, and we talked about ways to go into rest, digest, and repair, because all of these things keep us in a state of chronic stress, and it's like being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. And I went into detail about that. So now today's video is really going to be more targeted towards other strategies to help us with our circadian rhythm and sleep and our rest, digest, and repair. So, Chairman, I will answer that question in a minute, and that is a great question. Let's get through the intro here. So, so we have to respect our circadian rhythm, because the problem is when we don't, this is what happens. Like, this was me last week, sitting in bed, trying to get this video edited. It's dark. I'm exhausted. I really want to go to sleep, but my cortisol levels are up. So my stress is up, and I didn't sleep well that night. And so what happens is then at 2 a.m., you get a burst of cortisol, because your body doesn't know when it needs to be awake and when it needs to be asleep. Like, we do this to ourselves. And unfortunately, when we do this too much, what happens is we empty the tank. We empty our energetic tank. So what I'd like each and every one of you to do is anchor this picture into your mind. So when you're starting to not sleep well, when you're starting to have low energy, when you're feeling extra stressed, when you're feeling just poopy, you want to think about your tank is empty. Why is your tank empty? Are you doing too much of things that are emptying the tank? Are you not doing enough of the things that fill the tank? So if you can have that visual and just say, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I need to fill my tank with this, and I need to stop doing this because it's emptying my tank. So this is always a good visual, and it's always really nice, because then in your mind you'll start to think, oh yeah, I think my energy, I'm about half full now. Okay. So think about your filling your tank, because as we get into this is what I call the winter blahs, and many people consider it the winter blues. It's just blah to me. It's just absolutely blah. So, but this is also seasonal affective disorder. This is also, it can be related to bipolar disorder. It can be related to mood disorders, anxiety, depression, and it can really amplify a lot of these other mental health issues. So we want to pay attention to the blahs, because if we're not, this is what's happening. So we can be feeling depressed every day. We can have feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness. This is an inability to focus, brain fog. I feel that sometimes I'll be at my office and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I can't put one single straight thought together. And if that happens to me at my office, I will get up and I'll move my body, and I'll do something physical, which seems to reset me. We end up with no energy. We don't want to wake up in the morning. We get an increased appetite and sugar cravings. Now, how many people actually are, it's like we're in a stress mode, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm having cravings like I've never had cravings before. Wintertime tends to fuel those cravings. And so also, when you're not sleeping properly, you're going to disrupt your gut microbiome, which is going to cause more sugar cravings. And then we're just generally not motivated, which is why I keep talking about discipline, because it's hard to be motivated when the days are like this. So that's where discipline comes in. You do it because you're dedicated to doing it. The motivation will come later. And when we think about animals just know. Animals know that this is the time for downtime. They lay down, they rest. They know they shouldn't be up all night. They know they shouldn't be out hunting hard. They've done all the hard work, and they've earned this opportunity to rest. And that's where I want to encourage each and every one of you. We are really hard on ourselves. So I'm just inviting you all to give yourself some grace and understand that this is how animals are supposed to function. We're supposed to respect the fact that our bodies are designed to slow down around this time of year. We're not designed to do all this hard work and driving into the night. So just respect your body for that. The work will always be there. We don't have to go chasing after it. And if I can't get a video up on a Monday morning, and there's been a few times I haven't been able to do it, I'm not stressing myself out, because I still hit 200,000 views and I missed a few reset Mondays. So it's still forward motion, right? So think about it like that. So let me see what my next slide is. Okay. So, Chairman, I'm going to answer your question here in a minute as we go into the light exposure for 4 buckets of wellness. And actually, I should save it for sleep. And that's where, let me see where that'll fit in here, because I don't want to get ahead of myself because that is something I'm going to be talking about. So Chairman's asking about melatonin. Is there a safe amount of melatonin? And it's such a great question. How much is considered safe? He's taking 5 milligram gummies. Still takes him 2 hours to fall asleep. So I'm just gonna lay your questions out there, and we're gonna answer them as we go. So there's 4 buckets to wellness. The first bucket is light exposure, and then we have nourishment, movement, and sleep. And I like to put these into these categories because I think instead of saying 10 ways to blah, 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 I think I just feel like I connect better when there's categories of things. So let's talk about light exposure. And when this goes both ways. If we have the proper light exposure, it can improve our mood. It can improve our sleep. It can improve our eyes, meaning, we don't get that fatigue. Like our eyes feel like bright and fresh. We don't get the headaches. It can help us with jet lag. It can help shift workers, and it can help improve focus, among many other things. But also when we're getting the improper amount of light. So all of the blue lights that are blasting in my face right now. You guys are watching me on a computer. You're getting all the blue lights, the TV, the phones, all of that electromagnetic field that's around us, that is actually adversely affecting our mood. It can adversely affect our sleep. It can lead to eye issues, eye strain, headaches. It can prevent our ability to recover from jet lag. And shift workers have such a difficult time if they're not able to tap into this sleep-wake cycle, which most shift workers have more chronic diseases than people who work regular hours, daytime hours, because it's their stress hormones are just not able to be regulated like they need to. And then, of course, focus. Focus goes completely out the window, and it's really difficult to get anything, feel like we're productive throughout the day. But there's some things you can do when it comes to light exposure. So you see these light panels in the upper left-hand side, and these light panels mimic the wavelengths of light for sun. Now, you're not going to get a sunburn or vitamin D from that, but what we're looking for is the wavelength of light that can go into our eyes that can help stimulate serotonin and dopamine, our happy hormones, and help to regulate our neurotransmitters in our brain so that we can get out of chronic fight or flight and get more into a state of rest, digest, and repair. The upper right-hand picture is red light therapy. So red light therapy is incredibly healing. It's healing to the brain. Again, helps to stimulate dopamine and serotonin. It can help to heal skin conditions. It can help to heal chronic health issues. It's really beneficial for helping to bring the body into a state of rest and relaxation, which is always helpful for healing. The lower right corner is indicating full spectrum lighting. And full spectrum lighting is, if you think about full spectrum lighting, this is what we use to grow plants. So plants respond to full spectrum lights, and we will too. So if you can, you can go to Home Depot and get different lights that will give you that full spectrum, and that actually will be much better for you. I mean, think about when you have to sit in an environment where there's ultraviolet lights over you all day long, and those alone are exhausting, and your eyes hurt at the end of the day. And I have meetings in the community, and we're in a meeting room, and the ultraviolet lights are just, my eyes hurt so badly after I get out of there. So the one on the left-hand side there is opening your shades. Just open your shades. So many people live in a freaking cave, and I go into their homes and their shades are always pulled. Summer, winter, it does not matter. So open your shades, get the sunlight. It's okay. People are like, well, I leave the shades closed in the winter to insulate from the cold, and then I leave them closed in the summer to insulate from the heat. And pay a few extra bucks on your utility bill, because what it's doing for you metabolically, you can't buy that. So open the shades, get the sunlight in, go stand next to the door wall or the window when you wake up in the morning so you can get that light in. Again, we're trying to wake up and get our bodies to be resilient and energized for the day. And if we never expose ourselves to that light, it's going to be very difficult. And then I don't have a picture here, but then when you get in the car, if you can be without sunglasses and get those light rays into your brain, again, you're improving dopamine, you're improving serotonin, and you're helping to your body to be in more of a state of repair and recovery. The middle picture there is that is a sunlight lamp. So you put that in your room and it gently comes on. So it mimics basically the sun rising in your room. And when that happens, it very gently causes melatonin to drop and cortisol to come up, and you can wake up more refreshed. So this is really a wonderful way. If you're somebody who has to wake up when it's still dark out, I would highly recommend a sunlight lamp so that you can actually start to feel more fresh when you wake up in the morning. A lot of times when people don't feel refreshed, they're waking up suddenly, it's still dark, they're trying to be alert when their sleep hormones are still in their body. It's really tough. So these are just some simple things that you can do. Chairman says, I have light sensitivity because I have a VP shunt, so bright lights really bother me. Yeah, so I mean, you have no choice then to lower the lights at night, which would be, really beneficial for sleep. What is a VP shunt? Ventricular something? Is that a brain thing? Okay, so nourishment. Now, we're always talking about nourishment, and I just have to say straight from the jump, the processed foods have got to go. They're highly inflammatory. They disrupt your gut microbiome. They cause a disruption in your hormones. It causes your cardiovascular system to suffer. It's like, if this is the worst of the worst that I'm showing here. So you don't need this. It's full of seed oils. There's nothing nutritious. So if you're thinking of that gas tank, all of this will deplete the tank. And my 3 rules, you've heard me say this before, is no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors. None of it. And then we got to get rid of the seed oils and all that other processed food. If you get rid of this, you'll remove the things that are starting to empty the tank, because then we want to get into the things that fill the tank. And of course, we need to drink more water. Everybody needs to drink more water. I've said this before when people are like, if I drink more water, I'll have to go to the bathroom more often. Right. That's how it works. That's how your body is supposed to work. You're supposed to flush your body out on a regular basis. So drink more water. The minute you get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, I've shown you this before. This is my 12-ounce water glass. And I fill that up and I drink 1 or 2 of those down before I even have coffee. So get your body starting to flush out before you even put anything else in it. So water is healing. It helps everything in your metabolically to function better. And we require water for life. So, I've had patients say to me, well, you have to help me figure out how I'm going to acquire a taste for water. I'm just like, I'm sorry, that's nonsense. It's a lie you're telling yourself. Just stop it. You are water. You can't live without water. Your body heals with water. And every person who said that to me has been chronically ill. So that is your own excuse. Figure it out yourself. That's not my responsibility. That is my hard-handed truth for people, because again, like, we're not healthy because we're sitting here telling ourselves these lies. Like, that's enough already. That's the easiest and cheapest thing for you to do, is drink more water. Okay, done lecturing you. Now, dietary wise, we want to really increase our omega fats. So, wild caught fish, small sources of fish. So sardines, mackerel, anchovies. And there was another study that just came out that talked about grass-fed beef being really high in omega-3 fatty acids as well. So omega-6 fatty acids are really inflammatory. And we get most of our omega-6s from the standard American diet. And like this here, this is all omega-6 fatty acids. This is mega inflammatory diet. It causes your cells to be crunchy. It doesn't allow for proper transport of nutrients in your body and your blood vessels. This is what clogs all your blood vessels here. But here, if we're dealing with grass-fed meats and deep cold water fish, wild caught sources, happy eggs, the yolk, we can get into the yolks of the eggs, super, super amazing for the brain. So this kind of a high quality meal is fuel for you metabolically, for your brain. And everything that I talk about is really how can we make the brain and the nervous system healthier? Because that's really what's going to control and direct everything else in your body. So, so from a food perspective, oftentimes people will say, I don't know where to start, or I just don't know what to do. But I will say to you, you know what not to do. You know that this here, all of this processed food, you know that this isn't good. So just don't do this. And then just replace it with this. I mean, salmon and grass-fed beef and nuts and seeds. And it's just start doing more of the good things, and then the bad things will fall by the wayside. Okay, so some key nutrients that we should be taking. See, I'm getting thirsty. Okay, most of us are deficient in vitamin D. In fact, it's been estimated that about 80% of people are deficient in vitamin D. And the problem there is that in the summertime, we're afraid of the sun. People avoid the sun. We slather on sunscreen. We cover ourselves up. We don't go out in the sun. We're afraid of skin cancer. But we can't live without the sun. And the sun is the best source of vitamin D. And if you get proper exposure of sunlight without putting all the crap on you to block those rays, the healthy rays, then you can actually fill the vitamin D tank for a little bit. So it would take about 2 to 3 months to deplete your sources of vitamin D. So that's why I always say, and vitamin D is required for everything in the body. So we really want to make sure that we have sufficient vitamin D. Now, what does that look like? Sufficient vitamin D levels, we want to see in functional medicine, we're looking for that number to be up over 75. Most of the time, the numbers on your regular lab ranges are going to be like 30 to 50. And if you're at 35 or 40, your doctor is going to say to you something like, oh yeah, you're fine. You could take a supplement if you want, but it's not necessary. Your vitamin D levels are fine. What we know about having low vitamin D levels is it's directly correlated to chronic disease. We know that if we get vitamin D up over 75, it's like 75 nanograms per milliliter deciliter, something like that. I always forget what it is. But if we get it up over 75, it is actually more effective than a flu shot. So think about that. The flu shots have aluminum in them. They have all kinds of adjuvants. They're really dangerous. They've been linked to Alzheimer's. It's not worth the risk on your brain. Vitamin D will nourish your brain. So 5,000 milligrams or 5,000 units a day is what I take. Sometimes I take 10,000. I am Middle Eastern. I can go out in the sunlight and I'll be tan in 5 minutes, but that doesn't mean I convert my vitamin D as well. So people who are lighter skinned actually need to be out in the sunlight for less time and will convert and create more vitamin D than people who are darker like myself. I have to spend more time in the sun to get the vitamin D that my body requires. I still supplement because my vitamin D is still only like around like 55, better than the average person, but like crazy, it should be a lot higher than that. So get your vitamin D levels up. Omega-3s, we just talked about that, found in fish, walnuts, and flax seeds, and excellent for reducing inflammation, and again, supporting your brain health. And again, adding the grass-fed beef in there as well. Magnesium, will help to improve your sleep and reduce anxiety and muscle tension. It's found in leafy greens and seeds. Magnesium is excellent because when I have patients that come in and they have hard, tight muscles, and you know who you are. If you're somebody you're like have constant tension, or like I'll knock on the wall and I'll go, oh my God, your muscles, they feel like I'm pushing in concrete. That is mineral deficiency. And so I put my patients on high dose minerals to include magnesium, magnesium bisglycinate specifically, so that their bodies can start absorbing the nutrients they need to soften the muscles. The muscles are like in constant contraction, and the muscles need magnesium to be able to actually relax. So consider magnesium if you have tight, tense muscles. And then B vitamins. Again, here we go. We're back in the brain. Vital for energy, mood regulation, found in whole grains, eggs, and lean proteins. And we can have the vegan argument here. Vegans just don't get B12 because they're not having animal proteins. They're incredibly deficient in their B vitamins, and that is an argument for another time. But just as a quick reference, you would need about 6 cups of quinoa to get the same amount of protein that you would get from 4 ounces of grass-fed beef. So it's like, you better be ready to eat a lot of food. So now let's talk about, so here's where I think I'll answer, Chairman, I'll answer your question here about melatonin. So these would be the key nutrients that you would want to take each and every day, along with a good high quality multivitamin. And then a lot of people will add in melatonin and some other things. But first of all, if you're not taking these, then along with, again, I should have put high quality multivitamin, but these are really like some key critical nutrients for metabolic health. So tap into this first. Tap into your core nutrients first. And you can always send me an email. Let me put my email address here. And I can give you recommendations on which ones to take. So here's the deal with melatonin. Melatonin is not always your problem. In fact, melatonin should be the last of anything that you should take, because most people are not taking these core baseline nutrients, and they're not regulating their light during the day. They're exposing themselves too much to this. Their diets are crap. They're not moving. They're not exercising. There are too many other lifestyle things that need to be checked off the box before we go to melatonin. I mean, even things like caffeine consumption. If you're having caffeine past 12 noon, caffeine can stay in your system for 10 to 12 hours, depending on who you are. Some people metabolize it really fast. Some people, it'll stay in their systems for up to 12 hours and disrupt sleep. So there's so many other pieces that need to get looked at before melatonin. So how much melatonin? I don't know. That I can't answer that question, because most of the people that I know, I take them off melatonin until we fix all the other things. And then most of the time they don't have to take the melatonin. So look at some of the other things in your lifestyle that maybe need to get considered, changing around, whatever even your nighttime meal, making sure it's a little bit higher protein, making sure that there's, cutting out the sugars, things like that. So I know that doesn't particularly answer your question, but the problem with melatonin is it is a hormone. And so you can go have your melatonin levels measured as well. And that would probably be the best way to do it, is you can get a blood test and have your melatonin checked to see if that's really the problem. Because what happens if people take too much melatonin, and a lot of people self-dose this stuff, they take too much melatonin, you end up with like crazy nightmares. And and you can take too much melatonin. So I would definitely say no more than 5 milligrams. That can be, that's where like 2.5, like max if you want to kind of test it, but you got to tap into the other things first. So that's a long way of saying it's a hard question to answer, Chairman, but I hope that helps. So chelated magnesium. So this is a great comment, P squared. So magnesium, yes, chelated to certain um, substrates will help them absorb better. So it depends on what, yeah, like all the Metagenics products are chelated magnesiums, but they're still different forms. So you can have a chelated crappy form of magnesium. Your top three magnesiums are going to be magnesium bisglycinate. That's going to be your muscle one. There's magnesium citrate. That's the one you take when you can't poop. And then there's magnesium threonate, and that's for brain and nervous system health. Actually, I use magnesium threonate quite a lot for concussion, ADD, ADHD, brain fog, things like that. And Chairman says they're also deficient in collagen. Who's deficient in collagen? I'm going to go back to your shunt here. It's a shot that's in my head that pumps out brain fluid. Oh, got it. Okay. Shunt. Got it. And okay. Hey, Mark. Nice to see you. Happy February to you. All right. So moving on. We have to get to movement. Movement. Oh my gosh, you guys, movement. I love movement. Oopsie. Let's go back one. So the thing with movement is longevity requires movement. People who live to be centenarians, people who, live these long, wonderful lives, they're flexible, they have strength, and they also have mobility. Mobility is a combination of flexibility and strength. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But flexibility is stretching the muscle. So yes, you need to be stretching your muscles each and every day. Strength is the strength within that muscle. How much can you hold? How much can you lift? How much can you squat? So you see in this picture, he's doing an air squat. Air squats are actually a test for people to determine your longevity. So if you can't do an air squat or a wall squat, that's a problem. And so what I typically do is I'll have people do a chair squat. So you pretend you're sitting on a chair, or you can use a chair if you have weak muscles. It's a great way to learn to train the muscles. But you would pretend, you put the chair behind you and sit, touch your bum, and stand back up, and you would do that 10 times. And you can do that 10 times, several times throughout the day, as long as along with your stretching exercises. If you go to my YouTube channel, I can try this. Sometimes if I have too many tabs open, my computer decides to malfunction on me. So let me see what I can do here. But on my YouTube channel, I have a stretching that if you haven't subscribed to, or if you haven't checked out, this would be excellent. I pretty much have all the basic rehab type. What's this one? Edit, delete, view full playlist. Here we go. And here we go. And we're going to copy. Oh, good. I was able to do that. Okay, there you go. All right, so there's the stretching playlist. So this is pretty much all the rehab type stretches and exercises. Before I became a chiropractor, I worked in physical therapy, orthopedic rehab. And so a lot of these are rehabilitative, but they also just feel pretty amazing. So work on your stretching, work on your strength. And then when you have those two, you can get into a deep squat like this. Now, most people can't get into a deep squat like this. And I show this picture because this was my mom when she was about 70. And you see, she looks amazing. She's squatting down with very little effort. This was just normal for her. She was deadheading. This was at my sister's house in the Pacific Palisades. She no longer lives there, but the house is still standing. She was deadheading the plant, drinking a martini, a lemon drop martini made with fresh squeezed lemons from the backyard. So So my mom was pretty cool. But I say that to say, like, you've got to be able to take care of your joints. You need to be able to, this kind of a crouching position that can be, when people fall when they get older, if you don't have the ability to be in a mobile position like that, you could really, really hurt yourself. So that's why I really encourage mobility along with stretching and strengthening. Okay, moving on to sleep. If you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Chairman says vegetarians don't have, yeah, vegetarians are like, yeah, he made the comment earlier about being deficient in collagen. They're deficient in everything. I honestly have not met a healthy vegetarian. So, yeah. I know. Thanks, Mark. She did. She was really amazing. She looked incredible till the day she died. So she was 86 years young, and yeah, she was pretty amazing. So taught me a lot. It's put me on the path to be here. So and thanks, P Squared. Yes, please text me tomorrow. We will definitely connect. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your support over the last couple of years. Okay, so sleep. What do you do about sleep? Sleep is critical for our brain health, our mood, our memory, our creativity, our gut health, healing, repair, blood sugar. Now, thank you, Mark. Yeah, she died in 2019, but I appreciate that. Thank you. So when we talk about sleep, when we have lack of sleep, we have lack of all of these things. And so from a blood sugar and gut health perspective, when we don't sleep, it actually causes more inflammation in our body. And when we get more inflammation, it throws off our blood sugar levels. And when that gets thrown off, our bodies can't heal and repair. When our blood sugar levels are thrown off, it shifts the gut bacteria. It changes the gut microbiome. So it creates more of a dis-ease environment in the gut microbiome. So sleep is critical. I am so crazy about sleep. I mean, I'm like, I want to go to bed the same time every night, which I encourage each and every one of you to do as well. So having consistent sleep schedule, really, really important. Having a consistent sleep routine is also really, really important. So again, if you're having any issues like this, and autoimmune issues would be on here too, because autoimmune issues are 100% related to inflammation. And any other chronic health issue, that if you can fix sleep, you can fix a lot of things. But we get complacent. So, I've talked to so many patients over the years, and they'll say, "Oh, I've never slept well." And they're fine with that. But this is how we are as humans. Like, we're able to compartmentalize these things. We're able to survive. Like, the body's will to survive is so powerful. That doesn't make it normal, and it doesn't make it right. So I don't care if you've had sleep issues your whole life. It is something that needs to be repaired. Now, if you have sleep issues, you're like, "Oh, I have apnea and I'm on a CPAP machine, so I'm fine now." You're still not fine. The CPAP is just a way to mask the overall symptoms. So we have to work on airway, we have to work on sleep postures, we have to work on inflammation in the body, again, specific nutrients and food, and again, movement and hydration, and going back to all of that. And it's really, really important that you pay attention to sleep above everything else, because having a good night's sleep and making sure you have consistent sleep patterns can really be a key to helping your body heal properly. Chairman says, "Why don't doctors tell patients who want to be vegetarians that kind of diet is not healthy?" It doesn't matter, because think about this, like, a lot of vegans and vegetarians, they're in it for the animal welfare, right? Now, I think there was a time when people jumped on the vegetarian or vegan bandwagon because they thought it was healthier, because meat got demonized. I mean, like, there's just so many diets that have come and gone over the years. And I had a guy messaged me a few days ago asking me about the carnivore diet. And I told him I would do a video on it. And it's just like everything else. Some people have really good experience with it. Many don't. Most of these diets that are that extreme can really only benefit a small number of people. So be really careful when you're going into things like that. Like, just because it worked for your neighbor doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And if you just adhere to the basic principles and cleaning up the basic things that I'm talking about each and every week, that I've been talking about for my whole life, like literally for the past 30 years, just work on the basics. Just start there. Don't go on these extreme things, because I promise you just start cleaning things up a little bit here and there, and you will start to feel so much better. Every vegetarian I've ever met has mood and anger issues. Yeah, I don't know, but I know a couple like that, but I don't know about all of them. But yeah, think about it. If you're not getting the B vitamins for your brain and the proper omega fats, you can't. Let me talk about omega fats for a second. So fish is omega-3. Grass-fed beef is like the fats you're getting are straight up omega-3. Well, then vegetarians will say, well, I'm going to eat flaxseed because flax has omega-3. Flaxseed doesn't have omega-3. Flaxseed has to convert to become omega-3. And it has to make several conversions. And it needs what are called cofactors. And those cofactors are things like B vitamins, magnesium, calcium. And most of the vegetarian and vegans are depleted in those nutrients. So it takes 20 times more flax to get the same amount of omega. You have to eat 20 times the amount of flax to get the same omega fats, because of all of those conversions and the deficiencies in the cofactors. So yeah, it's really interesting, and people just don't know that information. So it's like, just eat the fish, eat the meat, be healthy. Mark says, I have no problem sleeping 9 p.m. nightly, not much personal life, but probably for the best. Yeah. And I'm with you. I'm in bed usually by like 8:30 every night, 8:39. I read a little bit, and then I'm usually asleep, between 9:30 and 10, I think. So yeah, I don't have much of a social life either. So it's all good. It's not disrupting my sleep. I've heard that flaxseed kills a man's libido. I don't know about that. That's interesting. I'll have to look that one up. Okay. So now another one of my absolute favorite tips before you go to bed, because most of us lay down, our brains are just still like rattling with thoughts, and we just need to turn the brain off. This is what I call, brain chatter. How do we turn the brain off? My favorite exercise is called a brain dump exercise. You get yourself a journal and you just write. You write everything from the day, all the things that you're thinking about, that you're ruminating on for the day. And of course, always giving gratitude when you journal, always writing down what were you grateful for the day. Because your brain, when you can really be in gratitude, that is a massively healing state. When you're in stress, your brain is not in a healing state. You're more likely to get that 2 a.m. wake up. When you go to bed in gratitude, your brain is more likely to be relaxed. You are delivering very different hormonal pathways when you're going to bed in stress versus when you're going to bed in gratitude. Gratitude relaxes you. It calms you. It changes the environment. So you're getting more dopamine. You're getting more serotonin. Those feel good hormones. Where when you go to bed under stress, you're going to bed with more stress hormone, and your body can't relax, and it can't reset, and it can't repair. So the brain dump exercise is really beautiful, because you just sit and you just write everything from the day, and then write down 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for from that day. But then always write down 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for the next day. And I always, my last sentence is always, tomorrow will be another amazing day. Tomorrow will be an amazing day. Whatever it is, amazing things will happen tomorrow. So I always end my journal night with some kind of sentence, like some kind of declaration for something positive and beautiful for the next day. And so what that does is it allows you to turn your brain off. So even like the things for the next day that you're thinking about doing, oh, I forgot this. Oh, I didn't call so-and-so. Write it all down, because you have to give your brain permission to turn off. And the brain dump exercise is really like this wonderful way to do this. I need to do a video just on the brain dump exercise. So, because it's so powerful and it's super simple. It also is a way, like you say, you turn off the TVs, you're just there, it's quiet. And it really does start to prepare your brain and nervous system for sleep. So yeah, try the brain dump exercise. I would like to know. All right, we talked about our 4 buckets to wellness: light exposure, nourishment, movement, and sleep. So if you could rate them, where would you rate them? Rate number 1, which one you're really good at, to number 4, which one do you really need to start working on first? So, or maybe you could rate them 1 to 4, like number 1's the one you need to start working on first. So, so that would be, start looking at what do you need to do in each bucket to improve your health there. This little QR code, you can scan that, and that is that will I can send you a copy of this download, kind of a bridged version of this download, so that you can get the information and have it, and then have it at your as a resource for you. So, all right. Okay, we made it. Wow. I had to do that in 30 minutes the other day, you guys. So I had a little more flexibility today. That was great. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. All right. So we did our 4 buckets. We talked about really just setting yourself up for success in this winter moment. February's hard. February is just one of those, it's like, once February's done, like literally we have 4 weeks till March. And in March, we like to think that it could be better, but March tends to get really, really cold as well, and drizzly. And, March is one of those, like, anything goes kind of months. Maybe I want to set myself to be gone in February and March. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what's going on with my camera right now, but okay. All right. Drop your questions below. And for those of you who came on late, I did announce that in January of 2023, I had 20,000 views on my YouTube channel, thanks to you, that I started in October of 22. And I checked my achievements for January of 2025. And just 2 short years later, I am at 200,000 views. Thanks to each and every one of you. I just wanted to bookend the conversation with that announcement, and just a massive thank you to everyone who is here supporting the channel. So, and just another request to make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button, you're subscribing, and you're sharing, because the more YouTube sees that people like my content, the more people it will show my content to. So, all right, you guys, that is it for me. Another Sunday night, and make sure you leave your questions below, and I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please share it with somebody who could use this benefit for going through winter. Maybe they have the winter blues. Maybe they're just, they just need a little bit of pick me up. Super simple concept. So, and thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. Yes, and that's the whole thing I was saying too. Like, I really try to bring as much value each and every week, and not show up half-assed. I see some people on their videos, and I'm like, why even bother? So, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. But I want to be here, and I'm glad you guys want to be here too. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, you guys, I'm out. Time for my downtime. Talk to you soon. Have a wonderful night. See ya.